Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro Podcast. I seem to be very zoomed in more than usual. I don't know why. I've got the live thing behind the camera, and I seem to be very close up, more close than usual to the camera. But hey ho. Anyways, my name is, as per usual, Bobby effing Salazar, and welcome to the debut episode of the Nerdic Pro Podcast anime series, where this will be every Wednesday from now on. Starting times may vary between 7 and 8, 7, 8, 8:30, whatever. Most of which will be pre-recorded, especially within the next couple of weeks, as I'm currently in the process of moving house. And I'm going to pre-record a few episodes tomorrow to go up this time next week and the following week, at least. And so this series, if you want to call it that, will be again the permanent series here on the podcast. Basically speaking about, because about 3 or 4 weeks back, I subscribed to Crunchyroll. If you don't know what Crunchyroll is, it's basically the Netflix for like animes and what have you. You know, there's tons and tons of stuff on there. If you're in the UK, it's only £5.99 a month, which I think with the amount of bits and pieces on there, you know, I'm not going to complain at all that, and what have you. It's like Wrestle Universe, right? Originally, I think I started paying, how much would that have been? I think that was it was either $5.99 or $6.99, when there was literally only Pro Wrestling Noah, Ganbare, DDT, and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling TJPW. And then they bumped the price up to £8.99 a month when they started adding things like Marigold, Michinoku Pro. What else is on there now? There's like a dozen different companies on there now, but there were not originally only 4, and what have you. Even still, with the amount of wrestling that's on there, and with the amount that it gets updated with current moment shows like as they happen, I'm not going to complain at the price. You know what I mean? And with a massive sort of Japanese wrestling fan that I am, and with the anime fan that I am, you know, I'm not going to complain at that price. Do you know what I mean? Alright, fucking losing out on sleep here. And I think with Wrestle Universe, had I been paying £8.99 a month originally, I still wouldn't have complained before they added everything on. But it was either £5.99 a month or £6.99 a month, one of the two. I can't remember which, but it was one of the two. And then they added like a load more like companies on there. And and then because they added all the different bits and pieces on there, they then upped the price of it, which is understandable. You know, obviously these companies will, I'd imagine, get a cut of what's made out of the subscriptions to it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so obviously more money. So yeah. So yeah, but with Crunchyroll, there's so much stuff on there. As I've said, it's literally Netflix for anime. You've got all the Dragon Ball. Half this podcast, I'm just going to be bloody sat here yawning. Just going to try and go out and do some fucking errands tonight after I finish here. So yeah, so it's got all the Dragon Ball series on there, which is what these first few episodes of the anime series will be about. It's got like a load of the Dragon Ball films on there as well, and yeah, when it comes to Dragon Ball, so yeah, Crunchyroll, if you haven't already, I very much recommend going to subscribe to it. £5, well, here in the UK, it's £5.99 a month. So yeah, go subscribe to it if you are an anime fan. Okay, fuck me. Oh, right. So yeah, it's got Naruto. Is that it? Is that what it's got on there? It's got that on there. I've personally never watched Naruto. I know absolutely bugger all about it, but I know no end of people that are really big into it and watching it through Crunchyroll. And yeah, so either when I'm getting bored of Dragon Ball or when I've finished Dragon Ball, I'll then get onto that. So yeah, I then thought I will. When I first subscribed to it about 3 weeks ago, I thought, I can sort of utilize this, subscription and turn it into a bit of a podcasting series, which is what I've done. Do you know what I mean? Myself and Justin Summers will also be doing, under the anime series sort of banner, if you want to call it that, the Pokemon series. Unfortunately, Pokemon is not on Crunchyroll. Pokemon is an anime, but it's not on Crunchyroll, right? Which is a shame. So yeah. See again. Oh. As I'm saying, I'm probably just going to spend half this podcast just yawning. But yeah. So I believe, in terms of Dragon Ball, so the original series that came out in 1986, there's, I believe, 187 thereabouts episodes of that. So, in general of Dragon Ball, there are 860-ish sort of episodes of it, 860 something. And the original series that was out in 86, which I believe was released from 86 to 89. This is in the last century, you know what I mean? The 19s. And yeah, so I believe I'm episode 53, 54 into it, thereabouts, out of 187. And at this stage, Goku is still a child. As I did sort of flick through just to see how many episodes, just out of curiosity, how many episodes are actually the thing. Were actually in the that sort of Dragon Ball thing, because it didn't actually say anywhere how many episodes were on it on the actual title thing of the file, if you want to call it that, where they all are. So I looked up and see that there were 187 episodes, and see by the what do you call them? The I can't think what they're fucking called now. The thumbnail, if you want to call it that, of the episodes. A lot of the the later episodes in the series, Goku seems to be, I don't know if you want to call him an adult or a teenager sort of thing, or like he's older. Anyways, so yeah, where I currently am, he's still battling with the Red Ribbon Army. He's gone back into trying to find the Dragon Balls after the the karate tournament thing that he was doing with Krillin and Master Roshi as what was his thingy, his alias? Who was that fucking martial artist, the famous bloke? Oh, Jackie Chan. What was his fucking alias, Master Roshi's thing? I can't think of his fucking alias now, but it was it something Chan or was it Jackie something? Oh, I can't think off the top of my head, but yeah. So it's after all that and whatever that I'm currently at, and he's so far found a second Dragon Ball, and he's gone back to sort of like to what was it like the Western City or the Eastern City or whatever it's called the Bulma lives in, to try and get her to fix the Dragon Ball radar thing that helps find the Dragon Balls, etc. He's got 2 of the 7 Dragon Balls so far, but none of them are but neither of them are the 4-star Dragon Ball, which obviously he wants to, obviously remember his grandfather by of Gohan, and I mean, it's sort of going off on a bit of a tangent. Dragon Ball is something that I've been into, if you want to call it that, on and off since I want to say the age of like 5, 6 years old, thereabouts, right? Because I remember years ago, we are going back, as I said, like, I'm 21 now, right? Again, going back to when I was like 5, 6 years old. So you're going back, what? Fucking hell. 15, 16 years ago, right? There was a TV channel on Sky here in the UK. I think it was channel 626, I believe it was, and it was called Pop. And you had loads of different bits and pieces on there. You had, so in terms of Dragon Ball, you had the Dragon Ball Z Kai thing on there, and then you had various different Power Rangers seasons on there. Obviously, big Power Rangers fan, like myself, and like a few other sort of like cartoony sort of bits and pieces. I remember like at one stage there was a program on there called Who Let the Dogs Out, which coincidentally the show Steve seen was Who Let the Dogs Out, and like there were a few sort of what do you call them, not cartoony stuff, but like live action stuff, if you know what I mean, like real life things. So like actual people were the focus of the program, not sort of like cartoony bits and pieces. Yes, to those of you regular viewers on the Nerdic Pro Podcast, I've resorted to Coke Zero now. But yeah, there was fucking loads of stuff on there, and it, as any sort of 4, 5, 6 year old does, when they're sort of sat in front of the TV and got access to the like the remote controller, what kid doesn't flick through the channels and what have you and look through various different shows that are on the TV and that sort of bollocks, right? I did it every fucking day of the week. Do you know what I mean? And again, that's how I found Dragon Ball. That's how I found wrestling. Excuse me. That's how I found, Power Rangers. That's how I found, as a kid, everything that I grew up watching. And so again, it's like what I've said before when it comes to Pokemon and Power Rangers and what have you. It's sort of something that I've sort of dipped in and out of a lot. but I've spent longer, like, compared to Pokemon, I've spent longer not really giving a toss about Dragon Ball and more sort of into Pokemon. Do you know what I mean? But since it's mainly sort of been this year, really, so 2026, that I've sort of got back into, Dragon Ball and what have you. I've sort of been back into Pokemon the sort of last year and a half, like what have you. But sort of Dragon Ball's like the main focus now because I want to sort of, do a podcasting series on that. I also, myself and Justin Summers, member of the Nerdic Pro Podcast, co-owner of Ireland Pro Wrestling off Prince Edward Island in Canada, will be starting up the Pokemon series soon. Speaking about our collections of Pokemon cards, as you can see, I've got a bit of a stack here. And Justin, he's literally putting this amount of cards to shame. Because I remember being on a call with him once, and literally in his office, he's literally got shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves, never-ending shelves, just full to the brim of Pokemon cards, and it's like, that is dedication. You know what I mean? And yeah. But yeah, anyway, so this specific podcast that you are watching currently, as we currently speak, is all about the introduction to the face of Dragon Ball, if you want to call it that. The face of the entire Dragon Ball franchise from day dot to day finish, right? From start to finish, the one and only Goku, right? Again, what kid growing up, like as I've said a million times with every single wrestling podcast over the past near on 6 years that I've done, what kid didn't grow up wanted to become the next Rey Mysterio, wanted to become the next Randy Orton, wanted to become the next bloody John Cena, bloody Sheamus, the next Undertaker, the next Edge, etc., the next Batista, the next Triple H, the next Kane, the next Big Show, the next bloody Kazuchika Okada, the next bloody Nick Gage. I'm riffing on a show in a couple of months with Nick Gage on it, funnily enough. And what kid didn't want to grow up becoming one of them? What kid growing up didn't want to become the likes of Vegeta, Gohan, and Goku, and Krillin, and Master Roshi, Bulma, etc.? Do you know what I mean? What kids didn't want to do that? Do you know what I mean? And want to become a fucking Super Saiyan? Do you know what I mean? Currently, where I am in the whole Dragon Ball thing, it's not been introduced to the Saiyan things, like the whole like Super Saiyan parts of people, and I don't think that it introduces that thing until the Dragon Ball Z side of things. I'm still on Dragon Ball, anyways. So. Yeah, so like, what kid didn't want to do that? You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, so everything starts off in terms of Dragon Ball with Goku not long after his granddad died. So Gohan, again, fierce warrior, fierce fighter, one of the greatest fighters on the face of the earth, right? And well, his adoptive grandfather, shall we say, as Gohan had found, sorry, I'm trying to message on Messenger of someone, and what was saying, yeah, so he's like adoptive grandfather and what have you, as he was found in the woods, etc. Gohan sort of took him in, blah blah blah, and Goku was still 12, I think, when the Dragon Ball sort of thing started, and he was very deluded when it came to the wider world. Do you know what I mean? He didn't really know a lot, didn't really know what a lot of words meant, didn't know what a lot of objects and a lot of basically everyday essentials were, really. He only really knew how to fight. He only really knew how to, hunt and what have you. This was until Bulma comes along with her Dragon Ball tracking machine device. Because Gohan had left Goku the 4-star Dragon Ball to remember him by when he died. I've still not got up to any bits where Gohan's actually first introduced and what have you. Sorry again, another message. But so Bulma then comes along to Goku's house, place thing, and then obviously says about the Dragon Balls. You get 7. There's 7 of them. You collect them all. You get a wish, right? And you can wish for anything. You can summon the dragon, which grants you a wish, one wish only, and then afterwards you have to wait an entire. Well, I don't think they wait. I don't think they find out until later on in the series where you have to wait like an entire year before you can start searching for the Dragon Balls again. Because I think it was when Emperor Pilaf was then trying to summon the dragon when Oolong then sort of jumped up and then said that you wanted a pair of the world's most comfortable underpants and what have you. And then obviously got that granted and sort of did the sort of fuck you sort of thing to Pilaf. And so that was that. And and then I think it's around that sort of time frame of the series when they find out that you've got to wait like an entire year to then start looking for the Dragon Balls again when they become active again, if you want to call it that. Like when the powers sort of become, like active again, to then be able to grant like the wishes with the dragon and what have you. So so again, Bulma literally became that sort of role model, if you want to call it that, to Goku, and she became that sort of mother figure to him, if you want to call it that. Obviously, he had Gohan for a while before he died, sort of bringing him up and what have you. But he was very isolated from like the outside world. Do you know what I mean? So like he didn't really know a lot apart from what was within a very close walking distance from his house, which again, there's very like you can see it in literally every single episode of the original Dragon Ball series where Goku's being like, "What's this? What's that? What's this? Who's that? What's that? What gender are you?" Had this have been released nowadays, when it comes to gender, you wouldn't be able to fucking, no. Again, it was literally every single episode where someone would have to explain what a certain word meant or a certain bit of terminology or a certain object was or a certain thing was. Do you know what I mean? And prime example, sort of where I am now, when Goku is looking for Bulma, he didn't realise, what money was. Obviously, money was used before, sort of like where I am, but like on several occasions. But he never actually had his own sort of income. He never really had his own, money beforehand, until he was in the there was a little sort of scene where he had a fight where he had to beat this bloke for it was like 100,000 zenny or something like that, which zenny is the Dragon Ball currency. It's not a legitimate currency; it's just the currency that they use in Dragon Ball. Don't know why they couldn't just use yen, which is the Japanese currency, but there we are. Obviously, it's taking place in an entirely different universe, if you want to call it that, really. Yeah. So well was saying, yeah. So that was his first sort of time when he actually had anything. He could have won, I think it was like $500,000, didn't he, during the tournament thing earlier on from where I am. And yeah, so when he's in the city, he didn't realise that, what crossing the road meant. He didn't realise, what, like the police were, and that the police were, like, their names weren't actually police. It was just their job title. And I think sort of where I am at the minute, I don't think that's sort of clicked yet, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's Dragon Ball. It's very easily addictive. It's one of those programs where it's like, like there's the story to it. It's not just it's not one of those programs where there's the story for just that one episode. Yes, there are some times where there is the story for just the one episode, but the overall story sort of continues sort of right the way through, if you know what I mean. Yeah, which in a lot of kids programs, especially nowadays, you don't really get that, where it's a continuous sort of story right the way through the series. Do you know what I mean? But like a soap, like EastEnders, like sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But obviously not as shit as EastEnders or Corriedale, as they were fucking calling it the other week. Well, Coronation and Emmerdale, where they did the whole fucking crossover thing, all that bullshit. Yeah, it's a very, very good thing. So yeah, Goku, I think in general, he sort of became at the start of the series became a bit of a nuisance. Like you would see that he was a bit of a nuisance and what have you. But as time sort of gradually went on to the introductions of, Yamcha and Oolong and Master Roshi and Krillin, excuse me, etc. You can tell that he's got that support system with him to sort of help him sort of conduct himself in everyday life, if you want to call it that. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so that's that. So yeah, what I want to do for future episodes, as I've said, that there will be some pre-recorded episodes, but they will be premiered live here on. Like, they will be going up live, but they won't be as it happens live. If you know what I mean. I'll pre-record it, but I'll sort of put it up like as a premiere live thing here on YouTube. So for the next sort of 3-4 weeks, right? If it looks like I'm wearing the exact same clothes and what have you, and I look exactly the same, it's not because I'm a dirty, trampy, smelly bastard and wears the exact same clothes 24/7. It's because I'm taping the episodes, if you want to call it that. And yeah, so yeah, but I will try and find someone to come and do the Dragon Ball series with me on a more sort of regular basis. Obviously, myself and Justin will be doing the Pokemon series under the anime series banner, but this was sort of more of a sort of like introductory sort of episode, if you want to call it that. And yeah, so technically tomorrow, I'll be pre-recording some episodes to publish over the next sort of couple of weeks to do like an episode by episode sort of like review thing. So again, I'll sort of have to go back and rewatching a lot of episodes and write some notes on them and what have you. Because it's only really been the sort of like last week where I've sort of thought about doing this series. And it wasn't something that I sort of planned on doing to begin with. So, yeah, you know. Anyways, so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro Podcast, my name has, as per usual, been Bobby effing Salazar. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to be joining me Friday evening around 7 p.m. for this week's episode of Nerdic Pro Weekly. Be sure to be tuning in next Wednesday for again episode 2 of the Dragon Ball series, where I'll be going into a full review of the first episode of Dragon Ball. Yeah, so and then the following week again will be episode 2, and yeah, then maybe there'll be some more sort of sporadic sort of podcasts here and there of like Dragon Ball, sort of going into like an in-depth review of this character, an in-depth review of that character, whether it be people like, I don't know, Vegeta, whether it be people like, I don't know, Master Roshi, Krillin, Goku, Gohan, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I'll only do it sort of as and when I get to it, when I'm physically watching like the program and what have you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Nerdic Pro Podcast, thank you all very much for watching. As I've said, join me this Friday for this week's episode of Nerdic Pro Weekly, episode of week number 222, I believe it is this week. And then obviously check out the Nerdic Pro Podcast on Facebook, check us out on Instagram, check us out on Spotify. Spotify's not been updated for ages. There are some miniature plans and what have you to bring stuff back in the near future. And what have you. Yeah, anyways, my name is, as usual, been Bobby effing Salazar. Thank you all very, very much for watching. And yeah, also check out Feeling Bleh, Richie's Music Podcast. All of those podcasts will be here on this very channel, here on the Nerdic Pro Podcast YouTube channel. Also, go check out Feeling Bleh, spelled F-E-E, so F-E-E-L-I-N-G-B-L-E-G-H, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Follow me on Facebook as well. So my name's Bobby Salazar, B-O-B-B-Y-S-A-L-A-Z-A-R. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for watching. And if you haven't already and you like what you see, please do hit that subscribe button. Costs absolutely bugger all, and it massively helps the Nerdic Pro Podcast app. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I shall be seeing you all later. Goodbye.